Hi, everybody. It's Clayton Smith here. I'm here with Jason Vander Woerd, and he's with Integrum Properties. And we're here in a renovation project. So this is one of Jason's projects that he's got going on right now. So we thought we'd meet up here and talk a little bit about the project and how Jason kind of got into everything. We'll show a little bit of footage of what's going on here. But how did you get into this?
Flipping or this property?
Well, let's start with flipping in general.
Sure.
How did you get in? What got you interested in flipping and the whole game there?
Yeah. So I, for 10 years, ran an excavation company. I had a lot of time in seats. I was really good at what I was doing. I had a couple employees, and we always struggled to keep employees past the training phase because it's such a talent-driven industry. You can't really there's no schooling for it, and there is, but it doesn't really teach you how to be real good at it.
Yeah.
So we wound up doing you'd spend 2 years training a guy to be really good, and then have some frustrating issues, and the employee side of it was really rough. So we wound up kind of looking at all of our options, and we were hoping to kind of find something that would hit my skill sets in construction, and having been around a lot of properties. We had built our own house, and built someone else's house. I'd built a shop, and then I had actually flipped some land in the past. So I was like, oh, it'd be kind of good to delve down that rabbit hole. And my wife loved design, and so she was also looking for something to do as our kids were going to school, and with the whole employee issues, and then kind of having this like new dream to do something else, and said, let's kind of look into real estate a little bit more.
Okay.
And so I spent a bit of time, did actually rain for a year, spent a bit of time researching rentals. That was my initial thought process, is that we would stick with that. I do have some rentals, but we bought our first property planning to make it a rental. Halfway through the project, we were like, this actually doesn't hit what I want it to as I was learning.
Right.
And so we switched it to a flip, and that was up in Edmonton because we wanted a broader market. And it's when we lived in Red Deer. And so, flipping and started there. And
Okay.
we haven't looked back.
So you started in basically with a construction background.
Yeah.
And so you're very much a hands-on guy.
Not with the hand tools. With the big machines, yes, absolutely.
Oh, right.
And managing was also something I'd done a lot of. But I'm not actually really good at doing the work. I know what it looks like, and that was also one of my struggles with excavation versus this. Is oftentimes I found when you're too good at something, it's hard to let other people do it when you know you can do it way better and quicker. And I just had a struggle with stepping back.
Oh.
And so once I was doing this, I knew what I wanted, and I knew what was good, but I couldn't do it, and I knew people that could. And so leveraging those relationships and managing it from that standpoint was what we did.
So take us through your first flip project. So you bought a rental property,
Yeah.
and then you decided to turn it into a flip.
Yeah.
And first off, share a little bit about what made you decide to go flipping instead of renting.
Yeah.
And then how you kind of started to build a team from there.
Sure.
As you said, you're not really a hands-on guy with a hammer.
No.
And all that. So
Yeah.
So just maybe delve into that a little bit.
Sure. I knew a couple of people in Edmonton, and so one fellow in particular was a renovation guy back when I knew him a few years prior. So I gave him a call because we had bought this. Actually, it was only 700 square foot little bungalow in Jasper Park.
Okay.
And I was like, my realtor at the time had suggested that we do a basement suite in it potentially. I was like, that seems small, but we can delve down that avenue. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a single family rental. It's too small to be able to do a basement suite. And so we wound up starting to renovate it. It needed everything. We got it for a great deal, but it needed everything. And so once we started, I was like, it doesn't have a garage, so I want a garage. The tenant profile, as I was digging into it deeper, wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Right.
And so then they're like, well, you know what? Let's see. I think the margins here are pretty good. Maybe we can actually sell this at the end and make a good buck at it. So through that process with my buddy kind of directing us to a renovator, then through that, the ball starts, you know, as you're networking, you kind of meet new people, plumbers, electricians, stuff like that. They brought some of those names in for us. And I think some of that was just fortune that we were able to meet the right people that had the right skills and weren't going to, you know, screw you over.
Right.
So,
So you got that first deal done.
Yep.
Got it sold.
Yep.
You made a margin you were happy with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then bought another one right away.
Bought another one.
Yeah.
So what was your process for buying the second one?
That one actually was stupid. Because that was the one that I've actually lost money on. That one, I thought the neighborhood, I didn't know a ton about Edmonton neighborhoods, and I hadn't really analyzed from the point of flipping at that time, before. So I saw this, ooh, this looks like it's going to be a great flip. And I think based on the last house, this will be what it'll cost to do it. And I didn't really fully grasp every element of the costs that were going to be incurred, because the first one was so much smaller. This was, you know, from 700 square foot, this was almost 1,200 square feet. So the costs were way higher and a few new things that I hadn't tackled before. So we wound up basically breaking even. We went back $5,000 on that one, which is minor. It was a learning curve, and I learned something about what my analysis needed to be. And so we tweaked it after that, and just kept on rolling. And that, it's just gotten better and better.
Okay, good. So take us through some of your process now. So from start to finish, when you're looking for a property, what are some of the things you're looking for, you know, when it comes to finding the deal, getting it funded, planning the renovation, and then getting it sold off? What's some of your process that you can go through there?
Yeah, it fluctuates a lot because depending whether it's an off-market deal or it's a realtor deal, that changes right away how you're analyzing it, because oftentimes when it's a realtor deal and it looks like a deal on MLS, by the time I call, there's way too many people interested.
Right. It's a pretty hot market, right?
Exactly. But even when it wasn't, people just get this excitement out of foreclosures and out of deals on the MLS. And it actually quite often winds up going above what it should have sold for, just because egos get involved.
Right.
And whereas with the
bidding war going.
Exactly. Whereas the off-market side of things, we are able to hone in a little bit of what we can offer to the person that's selling that helps them get through their situation, whether it's divorces, hoardings. Like a lot of times it'll be like just a really nasty house, and they just don't want to deal with the emotions of people walking through their home, tons of them. They want to know we're buying it, and that's the option, that's it. And so generally those ones I can look at a little more broadly, and if we're off by a little bit, it's okay, because we've gotten it a bit under its market value. Whereas with a realtor one, we get a lot more into the grind on how the property is sitting to make sure that our numbers are tight, because in order to get it on market, we have to be really narrow on our numbers.
Gotcha. So when it comes to finding your deals, then what would you say as a proportion would be, you know, the realtor found ones versus the private deals? This particular one here that we're standing in right now.
This is a realtor one.
Okay.
And so this is number 23 of our flips.
All right.
And up to this house, we had done one other realtor one. So everything was off market.
Okay.
Besides the first one, which was actually an off market one that a realtor brought to me. So it was kind of those ones I don't count quite as realtor deals because it never hit the MLS. It was a private deal. So we've only done one MLS one prior to this one, but we have two more starting that are both realtor deals.
Oh, okay.
So it's very unique in just the analysis. This one had been sitting for quite a few months on market. They had dropped the price a little bit. We came in with an offer that, made them happy, and with no conditions and a good deposit, then they worked with it. So it was good.
Okay. Now, I guess the next thing would be, what's your criteria? What are you looking for for a house? Do you have a specialty that you like to work in, a neighborhood, or?
Yeah, I'm not too picky that way if the numbers work. I don't like anything under 1960, just because some of the
As far as the age, building.
yeah, the utility, yeah, exactly, 1968, yeah. The sewer, all that kind of stuff is just so much rougher. The foundations generally are rougher. There's just lighter spec on the houses before 1960. So we typically buy 1960. This is a 1986. So that makes it a lot nicer because a lot of things are still being used today. A lot of the electrical boxes and that many things are
That
standard. No, exactly. So that's some of our criteria. The size is usually something, unless it's in a phenomenal neighborhood or a phenomenal deal, it has to have a garage. Like, I'm always pricing in a garage if it doesn't have it. And we've only had to build one, and that was in Laurier Heights, which obviously that neighborhood can handle a higher ARV. So it needed the garage, but also the price was there too.
Now, ARV, for people that are watching this, that's after repaired men.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of the criteria. Some of it's just like showing up and the layout is off, right? It's like like we can't make it work, like a tiny living room, and unless you do an addition to the house, there's no way to make it work. And it's like, wow, we can't. No, it doesn't matter what you do to this, it's not going to be something somebody wants. So,
right. And in order to get the lift out of it, that you need to pay for that.
Exactly. Yeah. So we try not to touch anything structural if possible.
Okay. Now, when it comes, are there things where, and I know in this particular house here, you were showing me earlier how you'd actually taken out some of the walls.
Right.
And there are some situations where that might make sense.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So in this particular house here, what made that work?
What made it work was the fact that they were engineered trusses. So we contacted our engineer just to double check that is what it was. And when we opened up the beam, or up the wall, sorry, there was no beam header. It was just 2x4s. So you could tell pretty quickly that it was not a structural wall. And so that made it able that we could open it right up.
Okay.
Not like this is about as early of a house as you're going to get where that's an option.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, once you found a deal and it's time to put the offer in, what's some of your process for putting that offer in? You talked about a deposit. You've got to have a deposit that is going to make sense for somebody. So talk a little bit about some of that process.
Once again, it depends whether it's off market or realtor. Obviously, with a realtor, it's a lot simpler because they're the middleman. How they choose to present it is kind of their thing, and we work with one realtor solely, basically, on all these deals, and he knows how I work, so he knows he can offer a good sized deposit, and we're going to go in unconditional unless we see something glaring. But usually that's an issue for anyone else buying it as well. So that's usually not a hiccup. On the off market, that's a whole nother thing because you're really trying to see what they need. Sometimes it's like the convenience of not having to clean the house out. We'll clean it out for you, right? And so how you make that offer then is, leave whatever you don't want, leave behind. And,
easy for them.
Exactly. And then no conditions with that either. And they don't even care so much about the deposit then or any of that. It's the convenience of what they're getting. So,
and what sort of timelines are you looking for conditions and then for closing period? Are you looking to get as long a period as you can? What typically are you?
Yeah, so like we generally don't do many conditions, if any, on off market, right? It's just we're going to buy it. Like if we like it, we buy it. And when it comes to possession day, the nice thing with how many deals we're doing is I can be flexible generally with that because we generally have a decent flow going. Unlike like we were starting to get caught up when we got this house and it was starting to like, okay, I need properties. Like, okay, we're going to push a little bit for some of the possessions then, but usually we can be somewhat flexible with that. So usually a month, but if someone needs longer to get out, or sometimes on the off market ones, their convenience is they know it's sold. So now they can go look for the house they want to move into. And so then we offer that convenience also of being able to push possession out a little bit if needed.
Okay. Now, how are you funding the deals? So you put the offer in, and you're saying that a lot of times you go in with very little conditions or no conditions.
Yep.
So you got to have the cash backing.
That's right.
To do that. So
Yeah.
How are you funding those deals?
Yeah, there's a whole combination of things. There's private lending is obviously the biggest one, using a broker that gets the funds in line for us to be able to purchase these. Second is our own funds to have in the game, which we try to always make sure we do. So we're not risking other. Yeah, where you've got skin in the game, we're not risking anyone else's. And then we do have some relationship deals that we have going as well. So where people want to make a return, and we can offer that to them.
Okay. So you got the deal secured, you got it all funded, funding's in place. Now it's time to do the renovations. So that's where you come in. You're basically the project manager on your projects, and is that correct?
Higher level, yes.
Okay.
I do have my main guy, Colin, who basically runs the jobs on site day to day, picks up materials and all that kind of stuff. The design thing is my wife. So she goes and he figures out what we're doing. I tell her we can't do it, so he doesn't have to. And then we make some adjustments and stuff. And some of the more particular things, or if I find a good deal on, some materials or whatever, then I'll deal with that side. But most of my time is spent getting properties, relationships, funding, all that kind of stuff.
All right. Now, with all that, you're into once you get into the renovation process. So a house like this, about roughly 1,300 square feet.
That's right.
So what's a typical time that would take to renovate a house like that according to your specs?
We go anywhere from 2 months to 5 months. The worst is about 5 months, and that was like a 1960 bungalow that needed walls removed with beams put in, permits. Actually, that was the Laurier Heights one, putting a garage in the back, like so many extra
a lot of extra pieces.
Exactly. One like this being 1986, pretty well has everything. We didn't change much as far as layout other than the non-load bearing wall, which takes a half a day. Right. Then you wind up with very little holding you back. So we're now beginning of March, and so it took us 2 months to get to this point. We have another 2 weeks or so, and we're out.
Now, just to take a step back, during the offer process, do you also get a home inspection done, or do you just rely on a lot of your construction background?
That's the thing. Yeah, I found, like, for me, I see we've used a home inspector a couple times, and they point out all things that I'm like, I noticed. So I've done it just to reaffirm what I'm seeing, make sure I'm still like sharp and on it. Yeah. But generally I'll just go through and I can see all, I'm only worried about like major plumbing concerns that I can see, because he's only going to be able to see what he can see as well. He can't ding past that. That's right. We do some sewer inspections only, like, because I can't see that.
Right.
So I will get a guy in independently to do that, just to make sure we know what we're up against. Foundation things I can see. If I can't see it, the inspector can't see it. It's the structure that I'm mostly concerned about. Everything else we're touching usually anyway. So, we had one deal we got, this next deal we're getting. The previous deal they had on it fell apart because of inspection. And people were worried because there was a crack in the tub, so they're going to have to replace the tub, and there was some other minor thing. And it's like, toss, that doesn't matter. The tub's going, like, we're putting all new in anyway. So that is less of a hindrance. So you wind up spending money for nothing for us because we're doing so much.
Okay. Now, once the renovation's all done, time to sell the project, wrap it all up. Are you selling it yourselves? Do you get realtors to sell it? What's your process?
Yeah, always realtors.
Okay.
We want to, and good realtors, right? We want to hit the top mark of what the neighborhood can bear. We want to be realistic about it too. And also, they have the ability to, hold off on offers. If like the last one we had 6 offers on. And so they can just hold it for the weekend and give it to us on Monday, and they can tell the client that. If you don't have that middleman, then it's very difficult to say, I'm just going to take it in and I'll let you know my decision Monday. people get kind of upset about that. Whereas with a realtor involved, you're able to leverage that, which is very handy for us. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, so when somebody's coming in to buy, typically a standard buyer, they're coming in with a mortgage, down payment, and then inspection, just the financing conditions.
That's right.
And then it can be, what's a typical closing period that you've had for that?
It's usually a month. We have month and a half. We've had people try to do 2 months. For us, it's expensive to hold it another couple months, just because they don't want to move so quick, for whatever reason. So usually we're able to, if that's the only hiccup, we're able to like negotiate that down where they can move a little quicker. Okay. You just coach them through the fact like banks will do some bridge financing so you can hold both properties, like even if theirs is closing, and then they're able to purchase both. They own both for 2 weeks. It costs them a little bit, but it also makes it so they can move so much nicer, because you're not one day go and you're moving out and moving in all in one.
Yeah.
So in the end, it usually winds up good.
Good. So you got the deal all wrapped up. Money's in the bank. Now you crunch the numbers and you find out what you made. Now, what's kind of a minimum target that you're looking for a margin once all said and done?
10%.
10%.
Yeah, that's where we're looking to be after our costs and all of that. And sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher.
And that's your holding costs.
That's our profit
and everything.
Oh, that's after those expenses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you've got a bunch of projects. Well, not a bunch, but you got a few projects on the go right now.
Yeah.
So aside from this project, how many others did you have on the go?
Right now we have 2 on the go.
Okay.
Third one coming up, and we're trying to fill up because actually last month we sold 3. So all of a sudden,
problem to have.
Yeah, it is, but it's also kind of annoying because all of a sudden the stress picks up because you've got trades that now you've built relationships with that you want to keep busy.
Right.
Exactly. And my guys as well, like we've got full-time employees that work for us, so we got to keep everybody.
They've
got families and all of that, so the pressure builds, but we always make sure we're busy. But it's
what's some of your biggest challenges when you're in this business?
The ups and downs of that. It's a product-based business, but the product is super expensive. So the somebody in the end is buying a house for $500,000 or $600,000. They want everything perfect, and we try to offer that. But occasionally you have some ups and downs of what they think is perfection versus what isn't, what's realistic. These are still older houses. They're not brand new. We're not offering home warranty. And so some of the frustrations that they have is kind of a downer, right? Because it's like, they want, they don't like how this one wall maybe has a little wow in it. Well, that's how it was built. Like we can't rebuild the whole house for that. We try to make everything look as good as possible with it, but it wasn't because of workmanship necessarily. It's just the age. So that's kind of an annoyance. The bigger hurdles, I think, is just making sure, what I was just saying about having properties on the go available to work with. You can't predict the market. So when a good deal comes, we got to be able to move. And that requires a significant amount of capital being available from multiple sources to be able to take advantage of those options or those deals when they come, because you don't want to be in a position where you have to buy something to keep busy at a premium when you could have bought something a month earlier that was way better.
So you got some dry powder in the back.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Yeah. Now, when it comes to looking for more deals, you say you're looking for more deals now. You're looking for realtors to come to you. You're looking for, I imagine, wholesalers to come to you. Just anybody that has a deal.
100%. Yeah. And that's the thing, is my criteria for what a deal is. It'll look different than a homeowner's criteria, and it'll look different for someone who's going to invest in a rental.
Right.
And so I'm open to all potential properties that come my way, but it's understanding that just because don't be insulted if I don't like it. Even though you think it's a deal, it probably is to somebody, but it might not fit what we're doing.
What you're So you're not looking to knock down and then build new or anything like that at the moment, or?
We are.
Oh, you are?
We are doing that right now, actually.
Okay.
We're in the process. We're going to be building an 8-plex here this summer.
Very nice.
On a property, a lot we bought on the west end. And actually, I'm building my own acreage right now, which is also an avenue of that. That's kind of just the logical next step. Like, there's a lot of people that are in the flipping space, or that were in the flipping space, that just kind of moved to that. It's more
Start to build up a little more.
Yeah, more predictable, right? Your lot cost is your biggest unknown, and you're digging, because that's always a crapshoot. And then but once you get past that, it's like the numbers that were quoted are what you're going to pay, and so that's kind of where we want to go, to be a more predictable business and with longevity. We're still going to keep flipping because we love it, and we do love like the relationships we build with neighbors who are just over the moon that we have taken this property they've been staring at for 20 years and driving their property values down.
Yes.
We're not tearing it down usually. We're usually fixing it up, which is to them amazing. They don't want to stare next to this 2-story monster beside their old family home. So
sure. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, we'll have to get into the 8-plex another time, because I'm sure that's going to be an interesting discussion.
I would imagine. Yeah. You'll stop in. We'll do a video at the property.
Definitely, I'll have to do that.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, Jason, I want to thank you for your time today.
Betcha.
All right. And for anybody who wants to get in touch with Jason, what's the best way for people to bring a deal to you, get in touch with you? What's the best way?
The easiest way to find me, just because through my company name or my personal name, is Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can also email me at jason@integrumproperty.com.
Okay. Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Talk to you.
All right. Take care. Thank you.